Welcome to Iraqi Dinar Update, your go-to source for the latest news, expert insights, and real-time developments on Iraq's currency, economy, and financial reforms. Whether you're a long-time investor or just curious about the dinar, you're in the right place. The current stage in Iraq's economic and monetary journey is one of culmination and transformation. For many years, the international community, comprising the International Monetary Fund, IMF, the World Bank, and the United States Department of the Treasury, has been deeply engaged with Iraq's central bank, CBI, providing technical assistance, financial frameworks, developmental support, and critical oversight. However, there comes a moment in the life cycle of international monetary reform where external support is meant to taper off, not because the mission has failed, but because the institutions involved believe their part is complete. This is the point where the groundwork has been laid, the institutions have been trained and aligned with global standards, and the financial mechanisms have been stabilized and upgraded to the point where the country in question, here, Iraq, must take the reins and reveal the results of this long, complex transformation. What this means in practical terms is that Iraq has reached the moment where it no longer needs the same level of daily guidance or oversight from the IMF, World Bank, or US Treasury. This does not suggest that Iraq is now fully independent of the global system, but rather that the international partners see the foundational architecture of Iraq's financial and economic systems as sufficiently prepared to stand on their own. In effect, the baton is being passed from the hands of international institutions to the domestic authorities in Baghdad and within the Central Bank of Iraq. That shift signals a readiness, a transition from theory, reform, and preparation to the unveiling of a new monetary phase that includes both the physical manifestation of that change, in the form of new lower denomination notes, and the numerical anchor that gives those notes value, the new exchange rate. This transformation has been years in the making. It has required more than currency printing or central bank policies. It has demanded legislative frameworks, financial oversight mechanisms, digitization of the banking sector, compliance with international standards on anti-money laundering and counterterrorism financing, and the modernization of public finance management. All these reforms have quietly and steadily moved Iraq from a fragile post-war economy toward one that can claim space in the global marketplace. What makes the current moment distinct is the consensus, an informal but powerful one, among the IMF, the World Bank, and the US Treasury that their long-term advisory role can be brought to a close. That does not mean there will be no further cooperation. International bodies will continue to monitor, advise, and partner with Iraq where appropriate. But their exit from the front lines of Iraq's currency and monetary reform signals that Iraq is now being trusted to implement what has been prepared. The Central Bank of Iraq, for its part, has not rushed this process. Despite pressure from certain domestic factions and from speculators abroad, the CBI has maintained that any change in exchange rate policy would come only when the conditions are right. That level of caution has been interpreted by some as hesitation or even stagnation. But from a monetary policy perspective, it is prudence. Currency reform, particularly in a country that has experienced war, sanctions, occupation, and deep internal divisions, must be implemented with utmost care. Trust, once lost, is not easily regained. Therefore, by ensuring that all institutional frameworks are in place, all mechanisms tested, and all risks accounted for, the CBI is acting with the seriousness that monetary reform demands. So where does that leave us now? All signs suggest that Iraq is nearing the final stage of this long process. With digital platforms and banking now operational, with inflation under control, with foreign reserves fortified, and with anti-corruption frameworks increasingly enforced, the economic environment is ready. What remains is the act of disclosure, the moment where the theory becomes reality. This moment, many believe, will not be introduced gradually. Rather, it will be revealed decisively. The introduction of the lower notes will be paired with the declaration of a new exchange rate to ensure that the transition is clean, impactful, and understood by the general population. It will be an economic event of national and possibly international significance, one that speaks to years of collaboration, technical assistance, and policy preparation. It is not merely a financial act. It is a statement of sovereignty, of modernity, and of confidence in the nation's future. The psychological component of this transition cannot be underestimated. Currencies are not just economic tools, they are national symbols. When the Iraqi people are presented with new notes that actually carry real, stable purchasing power, it signals a break from the past. It tells the people that Iraq is no longer a nation whose economy is defined by war, chaos, or dependency. It is a nation asserting itself, determining its own value, and stepping onto the world stage with economic dignity. At the same time, the simultaneous rollout of new denominations and a new rate is meant to minimize disruption. Inflationary panic, speculative hoarding, and market confusion are common dangers during major currency changes. By unveiling both components at once, the CBI ensures that all elements of the economy, retailers, banks, consumers, and foreign exchange markets, are aligned. There is no mystery about the value of the new notes. There is no ambiguity in how the exchange rate works. The policy will be clean, deliberate, and irreversible. It is for this reason that external support is quietly concluding. The IMF, World Bank, and US Treasury are not abandoning Iraq. They are affirming that the reform project they helped design and supervise has reached maturity. Their departure signals confidence, not withdrawal. It suggests that Iraq is now capable of not only managing its monetary policy, but also asserting a monetary identity that is credible and globally accepted. In conclusion, the only way a new exchange rate can realistically and responsibly be introduced to Iraq is if the international partners have completed their role and the Central Bank of Iraq has built the institutional and technical capacity to manage such a change independently. And in this view, the most effective next step, the one that reflects not only financial wisdom but also political courage and institutional readiness, is to reveal the lower denomination notes and the new exchange rate together. Doing so will not only modernize the Iraqi currency system, but will also reaffirm Iraq's position as a sovereign economic actor. It is a moment the country has long awaited, and if all signs are accurate, that moment is now within reach. Thanks for tuning into Iraqi Dinar Update. If you found this content helpful, be sure to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you never miss a beat on Iraq's evolving financial landscape. Stay informed, and stay ready.